Today we're just going to be looking at rewriting our intervals using those brackets and parentheses that we talked about in class. And so you'll be given a typical interval, like x is greater than or equal to 2. And so many of you guys might know this, recognize this. If you graphed this greater than or equal to 2, it included 2, and then in your past classes you color that in. It goes all the way out to positive infinity. So if I'm going to be translating this using a bracket or parentheses, because it includes 2, I would put it as 2, comma, and we talked about in class that we don't include infinity because we put those parentheses because I can never really get there. All right? So what if it's just greater than 2? Well, that means that when I start here at 2, that'd be an open circle. Again, hopefully you kind of remember that from back in your grade school days. It's greater than 2, that's my x value. That means this one doesn't include 2, but goes to infinity. Now, if I flip the order around and I have a less than, that means I'm looking at all the x's that are less than 2. And so if I think about that on a number line 2, it would be not including 2, but everything to the left of, because this symbol is less than. In fact, if you look at this symbol points in the direction that you would shade. And so when I think about that, then I always read this from left to right. So the leftmost, when I'm thinking of domain and range, which is where we work with this domain, the leftmost is negative infinity, and then it goes up to 2. So be careful about the direction that you have those in interpreting those values, those inequalities. And if it's less than or equal to, I think by now you can probably envision what's happening here. This is going to be a closed circle and shaded to the left. Again, if I'm rewriting that, that's negative infinity to 2, but this time I include 2. So that's if I have a single inequality, but what we're going to be working with more often than not is the compound inequalities. That's where I have a double inequality. And really, even though they look more complicated, they're actually easier to work with. Because when I'm thinking about setting this up, my interval will go from 4 to 12. So I just put 4 to 12. And then all I have to do is decide, is it going to be, do I use a parenthesis or a bracket on the left? Do I use a parenthesis or a bracket on the right? And it's determined by this symbol. Because this one doesn't have the equal sign under it, it's a parenthesis. Because the other side does have it, it's a bracket. And so that's all I'm going to be doing. Again, when I look at it, it looks more complicated, but it's even easier when it's a compound. Because I don't have to think about direction, which side is infinity, which side is negative infinity. So when I do the next one, again, I'm going from negative 4 to 3, including on the negative 4 side, not including on the 3 side. Oh, it looks like I have the same exact problem. Oh, but what changed? It's y. That must mean we're talking about when I use x, I'm talking about the domain. But when I use y, I'm talking about the range. But does anything change on that? No, it's still going from negative 4 to 3, including and not including. So don't worry about whatever the variable is in there. We just write it as our interval. We'll label it. This would be the domain is, and this one would be the range is, okay? Which we'll get into that later. Right now we're just practicing rewriting these. So this one goes from negative 1 to 13, not including on the left, including on the right. My next one is negative 1 to 1, not including on the left, including on the right. My last one is infinity. Can I include infinity? Nope. So even if it's written this way, even if it's accidentally written this way, because this is infinity, it's negative infinity to infinity, always infinity uses soft brackets. Okay, so you have 4 to try. Good luck, and we will talk soon.